$78 a month for a brand new Tesla. I mean, come on, that sounds totally made up, right? But what if I told you it's actually possible? Well, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly how one person pulled it off step by step.
All right, so let's just get right into it. How is it even possible for a cutting-edge car like a Tesla to cost less than what you probably pay for Netflix and Spotify combined? You see a headline like that and you think, no way, that's gotta be clickbait. But you know, there's a really fascinating story behind this and some very clever math that makes it all click into place. So yeah, let's unpack this thing.
So where does a story like this even begin? Well, like a lot of things these days, it all started with a late-night YouTube binge. You know how it is. One video leads to another, and suddenly there's a video announcing Tesla's new, more affordable $35,000 Model 3. And that little spark of curiosity, it led to opening just one more browser tab. And that's where this whole journey from just looking to actually owning a Tesla really began.
And you have to understand the mindset here, because it's so important. The person in this story had, and I quote, zero intention of ever buying one. It was just a guilty pleasure, kind of like virtual window shopping. You know, you go to the website, you spec out the perfect car, add all the cool features, just to see the final price tag. I think we've all been there, right?
Okay, but that just for fun session, it turned into a real financial roller coaster, and fast. This is where we get into the nitty-gritty. The numbers, the options, and that classic feeling that what you see advertised isn't exactly what you end up paying. Let's break down how it all went.
So, it all kicks off with this magic number, $35,000. This was the promised price, the one that made all the headlines and made the Model 3 seem like it was finally within reach for a whole lot more people. It's a great starting point, for sure, but as you're about to see, it really is just the start of the story.
Yeah, of course, nobody ever gets the base model, right? I mean, for just $2,000 more, the Standard Range Plus offered more range and a bunch of premium features. That felt like a total no-brainer. Now, to keep the cost down, our buyer here stuck with the standard black paint. That was free. But they just couldn't resist adding the $3,000 autopilot. They called it a must-have for anyone lazy like me. Smart move. The $5,000 full self-driving option, though? Nah, that was a little too rich.
And boom, just like that. With only those two key options, that $35,000 car is suddenly a $40,000 car, a $5,000 jump. So the big takeaway here is that the affordable Tesla isn't quite so affordable once you add the features most of us would actually want.
And yeah, that totally feels like a classic bait and switch, doesn't it? You get lured in by one price, and then you end up at a totally different one. But just when you're starting to feel a little bummed out by that price hike, well, the story takes another twist. The price actually starts to come back down.
And this is where it gets really, really interesting. Two huge government credits suddenly enter the picture. You've got a federal tax credit for $3,750 and a California state rebate for another $2,500. Now, these are real dollars back in your pocket. You might notice that Tesla likes to include estimated gas savings in their price breakdown, but we're going to set that aside for now because that's not actual cash back, and frankly, it could apply to any EV.
So let's do the math. You take that $40,000 car, you subtract those two real money rebates, and all of a sudden the price is $33,750. Wait a minute, that's actually cheaper than the original advertised base price. At this point, you can see why the buyer just thought, you know what, let's do this, and pulled the trigger.
But, you know, it wasn't just the price that made this deal so sweet. A huge part of this whole story is how the car was bought. This was not your dad's trip to the car dealership. Let's look at just how different and revolutionary this new online experience really is.
Just look at this comparison. On one side, you have the old way. Spending hours at a dealership, the stressful back-and-forth negotiation, the high-pressure guy from the finance office trying to sell you undercoating, the annoying follow-up calls for weeks. And on the other side, the Tesla way. A few minutes online, one price, no haggling, no upsells. And then you just click buy it now. It's a totally different universe.
And this quote really just says it all, doesn't it? It was as easy as clicking buy it now on Amazon, and it was amazing. I mean, for a generation that's used to buying pretty much everything online, this just felt normal, easy. It's a massive disruption to the old way of doing things, and it's easy to see why people love it.
But, you know, it wasn't all sunshine and roses. That super sleek, modern online experience wasn't totally perfect. After the easy part, clicking buy, came the hard part, waiting. And that's where a little bit of friction crept into this otherwise seamless story.
So Tesla promised delivery in 2 weeks. But as you can see, day 7 rolls around, crickets, no update. Then day 14, the original delivery date, comes and goes. The estimate suddenly gets pushed back to 4 weeks. The buyer kind of felt like Tesla was over-promising just to lock in the sale. You know, that classic, "I'm 5 minutes away" text when they haven't even left the house yet.
But you know what? All that frustration from the delay, it pretty much vanished the second they walked into the pickup center. The experience was like walking into a high-tech Apple store. Super minimalistic, clean, and the customer service was fantastic. And the most important part, the car itself was perfect. No panel gaps, no paint issues, none of those little problems some of the early cars had.
All right, so we've walked through the impulse buy, the roller coaster price, and the whole delivery saga. Now it's time for the main event, the moment you've been waiting for. How do we get from a $33,000 car all the way down to an effective cost of just $78 a month? Let's break down the final formula.
Okay, let's follow the money here. The car was 100% financed, so the only cash out of pocket at the start was about $4,400 for tax and registration. Now, add in a full year of car payments at $640 a month, and your total cash spent in year 1 is just over $12,000. Still with me? Good. Now we subtract that $2,500 state rebate and the $3,750 federal tax credit. That brings the actual net cost for the first year down to around $5,800.
So we're at $5,800 for the year. That's still a long way from $78 a month, right? Okay, but here it is. This is the final and honestly the most critical piece of the entire puzzle. The car was bought specifically for business use. And this is huge because it unlocks some major tax write-offs. A write-off is basically an expense you can use to lower your taxable income, which means you pay less in taxes.
So what exactly gets written off? Well, first up, all the interest paid on the car loan that year. Second, all those initial taxes and fees. And third, this is the big one, depreciation. Just think of depreciation as the car losing value over time. For tax purposes, you can actually deduct that loss in value. In this case, that was about $8,200 in the first year alone. So you add all that up, and you get a total write-off of around $14,000. At this person's tax rate, that translated into a real tax saving of almost $5,000.
And this is where the magic happens. We take that net cost for the year, that $5,800 we calculated earlier, and we subtract the tax savings of nearly $5,000. So the true effective cost for an entire year of owning this brand new Tesla, it comes down to just $942. And you divide that $942 annual cost by 12 months, and what do you get? There it is, $78.39 a month. The mystery is solved. It's a very specific recipe, government rebates, a low interest rate, and the secret ingredient, the powerful tax advantages of using the car for business. So what's the big takeaway from all this? I mean, it's a brilliant piece of financial strategy for sure, but it's so important to remember this isn't some magic trick everyone can pull off. It really depends on a perfect storm of factors. You have to live in a state with big rebates, like California, you need a business to write the car off against, and you need to qualify for certain federal tax laws. Which leaves us with one final, big question to chew on. Is this a peek into the future of how we'll all buy cars, or is it just a clever financial loophole that only a lucky few can squeeze through?